Hello, everybody. Today is April 26, 2024. We are working on Basic Block 16 for the sampler sew along. I did make my pattern up on my EQ8 so I could share cutting instructions with you. And interesting enough, the block on EQ8 is called Road to California. So if you are looking for an alternate tutorial that works a little better for you, you may also try looking at Road to California. But this is Jacob's Ladder. This is what we pulled for Basic Block 16. The block can also be found on Delaware Quilts. Our cutting instructions are very simple. We are using a primary fabric and a background fabric, so a print or, a solid. And you are going to cut 2 5-inch squares of your primary fabric. Your background fabric is going to be 2 5-inch squares. For your strips from your primary fabric, you're going to cut 2 2.5 13-inch strips and 2 2.5 13-inch strips from your background fabric. Very easy. Now we are going to work with our squares first, and we are going to make half square triangles. So we are going to place our fabric on top of each other, and we're going to do this for both units. And we're going to straighten that up as much as possible. And then we are going to draw a line from corner to corner, making one diagonal line. Then we are going to take it to our sewing machines and sew a 1/4 inch away from that drawn line on both sides. You're going to repeat it with both units, and I will see you back. Okay, so we have sewn our units. We are now going to cut our units in between those sewn lines diagonally. For both. Which will give us 2 units that look like this. We are going to take it to the, or 4 units, I'm sorry, we're going to take it to the iron, press it to the dark side, and then we are going to trim it up to 4.5 inches. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so I have been working on squaring up my blocks. And when I went to my sewing machine to sew my half square triangles together, or when I went to the iron to iron them open, I noticed that one of the fabrics is backwards. So I had to take out old Jack, steam rip that, and take another seam and sew it again, but that is okay. We ended up with, I think I need to square this one up. We will end up with 4 units. And sometimes, y'all, making videos is not easy. I think this is the video that just does not want to be creative. have a few technical errors today, and so, but we are going to make it through. We are going to get this completed, and we are going to have the finished block at the end of this. I am determined. All right, so I have 4 HSTs. I'm going to set that aside for now, and we are going to work on our strips, which is 2.5 by 13-inch strips of your light and your dark fabric. You are simply going to sew that, take this, right sides facing together, and we are going to sew a 1/4-inch seam down the side. Let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so I have both strips sewn together. I am now going to subcut these into 2.5-inch strips. Let me just straighten up a corner. And I brought my smaller ruler out, but we'll go ahead and do it with the 12.5. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my 2.5-inch line. And we are going to need 10 of these. So you should be able to get 5 2.5 subcuts from each strip. That will get you 10 total. So that gets me 10 with just a tiny little bit of scrap left over. Then what you're going to do once you have all 10 2.5-inch subcuts, you are going to make units like this, just sewing it over, nesting that seam, popping a pin in there if you need to. And you are going to make 5 of these units. So let's go ahead and get that sewn and pressed. So when we come back, we can move on to block assembly. All right, I have my 5 units. The unit should measure 4.5 inches. So we should have 5 4.5-inch squared units. And now we're going to assemble our blocks. And I am going to put that way. And that way. And I'm just looking at the pattern. So these two are touching. These two are touching. This goes this way. That way. These two are touching. And turn that way. So I'm just double checking. And so I should have a row of my background fabric and a line of my print fabric with these triangle dark points of your HST that facing in. And then we are working with a 9 patch. So again, we are just going to take a 1/4 inch seam right down the line. When it is open up, we are going to flip this over and take another 1/4 inch seam, and we're going to do that for all 3 rows, and I'll see you back. All right, we are down to our final stitches. We are going to connect the rows. I have made 3, making certain that our light fabrics are going in one direction and our dark fabric is going in the opposite direction. We are going to sew our rows together. I did press. I pressed out on both the top and bottom and in on the middle unit. And that is just to keep everything nice and neat. We are going to do our final assembly, nesting those seams. I'm just going to stick a pin in mine. And when that is complete, you are just going to go ahead and add this, and we will have a completed block. So I will see you back in a second. And there you have it. Jacob's Ladder. Very pretty block. A few more steps than we're used to, but very easy and makeable. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad I made it through with all the little tech bugs that I've had and some of the other background issues. But we will see you next time for block 17, which I'm not sure what it is yet, but block 17. Until then, be blessed, be kind, keep sewing.